Good afternoon. Right, we're going to kick off the afternoon with the Queen of SAS, Sam Humphries. She's absolutely no introduction from me. Lover of everything new and party girl, and I'm really looking forward to this. So over to you, Samantha.
Thank you very much. Whoop. Happy afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the beer garden. There's a distinct lack of beer going on, so if someone could fix that. Ian, maybe. Cool. So I'm here to talk to you about, sorry, let's just back up. There are bad words in this presentation, but to save your delicate ears, Ger is here on cowbell. The first time I did this talk, I had my 7-year-old child, but apparently she has to go to school during the week, so she's not here. But anyway, Ger's my new child. Is that okay? Doing well, mate. Good. So attribution is bullshit. Changed my mind. So I'm Sam Humphries. Let's do a little, who is Sam? I didn't bring my blanket today. Those of you who are John McAfee blanket fans, he's in my hotel room. These are all true. Exabeam pay me. Definitely, I don't even know if I've recovered as an imposter. I'm just an imposter. I can DJ. I don't have my child. John McAfee is life. I met Jensen Button earlier. Sorry. It's very nice. Jensen Button met me. That was fun. No licorice, no polystyrene, and if you like coming to the north in the cold, come to B-Sides Newcastle, it's the best. Whoop. So, promises. This is something about what I said I would talk about. Like I say, there will be some bad words. Maybe attribution is bullshit. Maybe it's not. We will see. We're going to talk about why threat intelligence is really important. Where attribution works, where it really doesn't, where it can cause you a lot of problems, and if it's something you're interested in, how do you get into it? Who can you give money to help learn things? What can you get for free? Because we like free. And if you've got questions, please do stick your hand up, and somebody will run at you with a handheld microphone. Okay, all good. And a cowbell, and not a clicker. So, this talk started life because of this tweet. It was a bit of a flippant moment. I do mostly think that attribution is bullshit. Not going to lie, thank you. But someone came back to me and they said, is there any way I can convince you not? And there is one answer to this question and one answer only, and that answer is cake. Now, no cake was provided, so I stand by my original sentiment. Thank you for coming to my talk. No. So let's talk about how to do attribution. Ultimately, the best thing to do, Ian, are you listening, is blame Canada. Excellent. Or just blame Ian, frankly. It's probably Ian's fault somewhere down the line, but in which case, let's blame Canada. Or let's take credit for everything, because that's fine too. I love Anonymous. I love what they do as far as everyone can be anonymous and say they did stuff, even if they didn't. Doesn't matter. Maybe not the best idea either, even though we're all anonymous. Maybe we don't want to be. Who knows? So, why do we do attribution? Well, here's where it goes wrong. Ultimately, we like to have something or someone to blame, because then it's not our fault. If it's someone else's fault. The challenge that we have with attribution is that we'll tend to go down a path that suits our narrative. It's easy. We'll come up with a hypothesis. We'll chase that dream all the way. But we have biases. The amount of times I've heard someone go, it was Russia. It's lazy, frankly. But there are times when attribution can be good. We do have issues with it as humans because we just want to blame somebody and we're very biased and we don't really want to look into things. And sometimes it's useful, sometimes it's not. Great article here. Slides, if you want them at the end, you can have a look. That was Hal Burgle's thought on things. A few more thoughts from the internet. Sun Tzu. Not the actual Sun Tzu, he's not on Twitter, but Sun Tzu, The Art of Cyber Warfare. Seems to be in some level of agreement with me, so that's good. Anyone here big fan of dice with more than 6 sides? Ian, yeah. I'm not, my husband is. I can't cope with them. But, that is a way of attributing, for sure. And to do some research, I got 15 votes from people on LinkedIn. So this is actual research, but we had to stop it here because if you can squint, when we got to leet impressions, that's the end of any good research, as every fool know. So Mixed emotions from the 15 people who bothered to reply. So maybe let's not write an entire thesis on that. So back to being humans and why attribution isn't great. We'll even go as far as accepting falsehoods if it goes with our hot take. The internet is rife with such things, and we love it. It's all right, A3, come. No worries, don't need the cowbell just yet. But attribution isn't just a cyber problem. This is from a museum, in fact the Getty's Museum in Los Angeles, and was attributed for about 20, 30 years at least whilst it was touring big art museums of the world as being a Gauguin statue. And eventually, after being in the Getty for quite a long time, somebody went, I don't know if it is a Gauguin, you know. Maybe we should have a look at it. They decided the plinth was wrong. It's always a good way to spot, I find. And also it wasn't signed. So it transpires anyway, this is not a Gauguin. Gauguin did some paintings of this statue. He did a small tour of Polynesia and out in the sticks near the Pacific, all those lovely places. And a friend of his sent him a photo of this from one of the islands out that way 2 years before he went there. So, turns out it's not a Gauguin and is now sat in a cupboard somewhere where somebody tries to figure out who the hell did make it. So, it's not just a cyber problem. Very smart people at museums with lots of research skills can also get it wrong because of the reasons that we talked about before. They'd seen the picture, they thought, brilliant, Gauguin's well into this guy, must have been him. Turns out, no. So don't feel bad if you've ever attributed something and got it wrong. Museums do it too. Moving on, just duck down so you get the full... Anyone know Louise Honey? No, she's not dead. I went to school with Louise Honey. I don't think she's here. I did not poison Louise Honey. This is another big case of bad attribution and actually bad facts. You look terrified. Didn't poison her. It's a bit of a sad story. Does anyone remember Stop and Grow for biting your fingernails? Yes, thank you. Not afraid to say I sucked my thumb till I was 8. And then I had some Stop and Grow and then I stopped. And then my nail grew. Not that it stopped. A dear friend of mine decided that it'd be hilarious if we painted a bit of Stop and Grow onto Louise Honey's Tupperware cup. And as we were doing that, it's non-toxic, she grabbed my hand and went and tipped it all in and then ran off to Louise Honey and said, Sam tried to poison you. Who does that? Who does that? Amy Kalis is who does that, I'm telling you. So I got hauled in front of the headmaster and the deputy headmistress for poisoning somebody and nearly got thrown out of school when I didn't poison them. So not only bad facts, wasn't even me. So there we go, attribution is terrible, changed my mind. Right, new game, pretend you're a government. Everyone good? Governments aren't very good at attribution either. So being a government, I don't want to be a government. You all just lost the game. So there we go. This is a sad story, and actually a serious story, not the Louise Honey thing. Even governments and agencies with lots of letters in their name, they can take ages to attribute to. This gentleman was 96 when he finally got hauled off to prison for World War II crimes. So that was quite a long time ago, and it took him until I think last year before they finally had this guy in court and hauled him off to prison. And they've got generally a lot more access to people, information, computers and stuff than us lowly folks in cybersecurity have. So again, don't feel bad, it can take time. The Anthem Breach, which a dear friend of mine, Steve Moore, was heading up the response to that. Again, it took years for them to try and figure out who may well have hacked them. They believe now it was China. Some of those quick to attribute people could have run in and told them that on day one. But actually they needed to look into it a bit more. They've now tried to extradite a couple of Chinese hackers for the attack on their systems. This is still ongoing. So this was, I think, 7-8 years ago. They're still trying to figure out who it was. And this was Steve's thoughts on the matter. And given he headed up this thing and was very, very much responsible for the response, even when you're working on the attribution piece, which arguably you shouldn't be doing in the middle of a response anyway, we've still got, we should still question these things. If you come up with your hypothesis, we peer review stuff in science, when we're doing attribution, we should certainly have a bunch of people look at the methodology, the thought process, the biases, on whether it's worth doing in the first place. Okay, so attribution may or may not be bullshit. Thank you. We haven't changed my mind yet. Threat intelligence, on the other hand, really useful. There was a whole bunch of threat intel folks in this room right now. There's people who've got threat intelligence coming into their solutions. Thank you. I didn't say vendors. And some of you may be responsible for curating threat intelligence yourselves. Some of it can be good. Some of it can be incredibly useful. Some of it can be, again, dangerous. But I'd say threat intelligence way more valuable than attribution for the most part. This is what it's good for, in my humble opinion. It's good for talking to senior people about what the problems are likely to be. So, how frequently are we attacked? How easily can we be attacked? And what do we have that's of interest? What's happening in our vertical? These types of questions to help them understand why we need more budget in cybersecurity. Threat intelligence is there to help you, as well as to drive your programs, your processes, and your thoughts around what you should be focusing on. So, good threat intelligence. Hooray, we like that. Times when you shouldn't be embarking on your threat intelligence program include when you're in the middle of an incident. That's not the time to go, oh God, I wish we'd had some threat intel going on. Let's get on with implementing this right now. Don't implement anything in the middle of an incident, really, unless your incident response team tells you to. And it shouldn't be this. But if you are looking at implementing a threat intelligence program, or cyber threat intelligence program, for the purposes of 3-letter acronyms, these things are super important. Like most projects we would do in cybersecurity, you would think, right? Why are we doing it? How are we going to measure it? What's the point? Who are we going to tell around it? What reporting do we need? And is that going to actually be useful rather than counting some beans? Because that's always a favourite. Who is going to read the reports that we send? Because I think that's a trap we all fall into, is we start reporting on something in cyber, we send it up the chain, and we just keep sending them, and we never check to see if anyone's actually reading this stuff. So communication, really important. Ask people what they're interested in, rather than just sending them stuff and they put it in a folder or set up a rule. It happens. So yes, if we can create a bunch of reports no one reads, that would be, thank you, pointless. Okay, good. I need to move because the meme, there we go, let's just duck down. The memes are everything, there we go. Root cause analysis. So, if we're looking at what do we already know about our environment, where are our risks? How do we get pwned last time? What did we do about it last time around? And what did we learn? These are key things also to feed into your threat intelligence program. Massive value of seeing what you look like to the outside world. Massive value. It's all well and good looking at your inside of your ecosystem and saying, oh, okay, we've got these many assets. Probably. We think we've got these many users. They probably still work here, most of them. That data is probably quite important. All those things get a grip of, but actually knowing what you look like from the outside in, because basically, if you can find it using tools, threat intelligence, there's various bits of automation you can use to do this. If you can find it that way, then an attacker can find it. So, really good to look at that side. But ultimately, I cannot harp on enough about the benefit of when you got attacked last time, folding that into your threat intelligence program so that you can learn from that and fix things. This is what threat intelligence is not. Getting a tip, badly named acronym, I feel, maybe not the right, maybe the right one, chucking a load of feeds in it and going, whew, that'll be all right. First-hand seen mistakes being made with this, getting very excited about being able to cross-reference something that happened in China and Russia at the same time because someone had forgotten to remove some headers from an email and thought that they'd discovered some brand new hacking gang that was a collaboration where it turns out that when they were feeding the stuff in, they'd forgotten to change some of the headers and everything got in a massive mess. So let's not do that. This is my favourite slide of the whole thing. Please laugh at the right moment. Look here. Right. So, everyone remembers WannaCry? Everyone trying to forget WannaCry? Yes. Good times. This is Marcus, who registered the sinkhole that saved a bunch of us from WannaCry. Mostly the Americans, because he was still tinkering around while America was asleep. The NHS obviously well-known got pwned by WannaCry, as well as many other organisations. Marcus is tinkering away with his mate, registers a gangly URL, and prevents actually a lot of people from getting hit, because the malware was checking out to see if it could connect to this URL. When it found it, didn't run any further. Great. Really helpful. Hailed as a hero. Other stuff happened after that, less good, but did stop a lot of people from being impacted by WannaCry. Until this happened. Let's just go back. Sad face, sad face. There we go. It's Marcus crying now. Actual face. ISPs and organisations heard about this weird URL and went, oh, from the threat intel, the bad URL for the bad malwares. Let's block it. Which was the exact opposite of what you were supposed to do. So despite the fact they now had a get out of jail free card, shot themselves straight in the foot, because we're used to saying, okay, malware connects out to these URLs, therefore we should block them because more bad things will happen. In this case, that was what you was not supposed to do. So bad use of threat intel makes me want to cry. Okay, back to attribution. We love threat intel, there's ways of doing it right. Attribution literally goes back to this, I think. And security do get blamed for stuff all the time that's frankly a lack of investment, despite they're saying that we need help with stuff. So what tends to happen, I find, during an incident is that someone will come running in who's probably not helped with the funding of security and hasn't been reading the reports and goes, it was China. In the middle of an incident, that's really unhelpful. I've been literally working on them when someone's come in with their massive hot take as to who did it and why. I don't care. Please go away. You're not helping. For the most part, unless we're a government, and frankly we should have thought about this before, if you're just a normal person working on an incident, who did it is not relevant at this point. It may be more relevant later down the line. It may not be. It may screw up your cyber insurance. Top tip. That's not saying you shouldn't look into it, but really, what's going on? When did it happen? Where has it happened? And what do I need to do about it right now is way more important than who done it, thank you. So asking the right questions at the right time will help you. Let's not get caught up in things that are going to distract us from getting on with solving a problem. Anyone had this happen to them as well? Yes. Yes. China/Russia/ pick your nation state of choice, or indeed animal names with words before them, or APT groups. All very not helpful at the time. Has it happened to you more than once? Yes. Yes, it has. This has made things quite interesting on the attribution front. So, thank you. Cyber insurance. A lot of people made a lot of money out of cyber insurance in the days before ransomware really kicked in. There's been a lot of changes in the cyber insurance industry in the last few years. This got very, very interesting recently. With NotPetya, when Merck were hit, they ended up going to court against their cyber insurance company because they said it's a nation state, that's an act of war. Sorry. Loads of other insurances won't pay out for other things if it's an act of war. Why should we be any different? Lloyd's of London have now said in August that they will not pay out if it's an APT group or a nation state or an act of war. So there's been a lot of scrabbling now going on because cyber insurance is now bloody expensive because of the number of payouts that have happened, and insurers don't like paying out, they just like taking your money. So that is an option for you. Maybe not the best one, but it doesn't mean we get out of investigating things. Horror story from the early days of GDPR. I mean, GDPR itself, but I heard from more than one CISO where they had said, we may not look into investigating so much so that we can't be held accountable. And I'm like, that's the backwards way. You can't do that. You have to, like, saying I'm not going to investigate doesn't change what's happened to you, especially when it comes down to being investigated by agencies now, and your insurance probably hates you if you've even got insurance. And we all saw what happened in the last week with a rideshare company. Please be a good CISO if you're a good CISO. Most CISOs are lovely. So, it does also boil down to this with attribution. What is the best use of your time? Because we all have too many people in cybersecurity and all this money lying around, and we're just like, if only I had something to do. Worrying about attribution maybe isn't the best use of your time. There are other things that can happen up front. If you get into a big breach scenario, different. But sitting there saying, like, which nation state's going to come get us today, just because you saw some, like, Russian code and a bit of malware doesn't mean the Russian government are after you. It's fairly easy to make yourself look like you're from a different country to the one that you are. And there's been many, many instances of this where people have had, oh, look, Chinese characters in the malware, must be the Chinese, because nobody else can write Chinese characters apart from Chinese people. That's well known, right? Some of this stuff is very easy to fudge. Okay, final thoughts nearly. So if you want to be an attributionist, real word, made up by Sam, the root of threat intel, this is definitely an area where there are open heads in threat intel in teams. Also including at certain rideshare companies. YouTube is great. Maybe watch more than one video, and that's not all your training. SANS will teach you lots of things for money. So that's a good place to start if you've got money to do it. If you're earlier on in your career, if you've got someone to corporately sponsor you through these courses, they're great. They do also have some free stuff. Free is good too. Lots of things you can access here. Various sets of courses which may involve a membership fee. Some of them are free. Mandiant have actually got some really good free courses, which is, considering how expensive they are for incident response, it's nice they're doing some free things. Great couple of websites here. Katie's 5 Cents is awesome. Really good tips on threat intel. Scott Roberts as well. So I'll make these available somehow through the Beer Farmers afterwards if you're looking for the links. So finally, in summary, I still think attribution is often shit for the reasons that I gave. Sometimes it's useful. I mean, yeah, if you're an actual government, Europol, or a cyber insurance company, then it's more use. Do not just buy tip and throw threat intelligence feeds at it and think you're doing threat intelligence. We still need people to look at this stuff. We need people who understand our organisation, our risk, our business. We can't just automate the hell out of this yet and just hope it works. It still needs humans, but it needs to be helping the humans make decisions. We shouldn't have somebody literally looking through spreadsheets going, there, URLs. Don't feel bad, museums get it wrong too. Wasn't Gauguin. Nobody poisoned Louise Honey, for the love of God. No one. Choice, however, is an illusion, and the cake, absolutely, is a lie. Thanks for coming. Does anyone have a cake? No. Have you got any questions? No one's got questions. No one's got any cake. This is terrible. Is that actual cake? I mean, it's kind of do, Neil.
Hello.
Do you want to eat donut and ask a question? Hello, Dave.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm lovely. Thank you very much. That was awesome.
Thank you.
There is, at times, if you know the actor and their tactics...
I can't hear you so well, my friend. Can you louder? Or just come here. Oh, thank you. I'll just get you in the cans, Dave. Oh, hi.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Excellent.
Yes.
So there is, at times...
Yes.
If you can attribute the group that's attacking you, you can know more about their tactics and stuff.
Yes.
But have you actually ever found that useful? Because I haven't.
No, I find it's the higher-ups when they're asking things like, who is this, why is it, and they want they want to put a label on it. That doesn't then mean that you should shift your entire security program so that you're only looking for their tactics, because that can be a common mistake, because someone's like, right, well, we know absolutely APT Z-Bear J is really interested in now. Let's look at everything they do. And you do get copycats as well. That's the other side of it, is someone can go, oh, okay, I found these 3 things, because we're lazy and we don't want to investigate properly sometimes. Therefore, it's these guys, thank you, I've done my job, on to the next thing. And some of that comes down to just being damn busy as well. So it's interesting. Is it useful? Is it going to change the game of your security program? Arguably no. But cool, great question. Thank you, Dave. You're welcome to stay. Any more questions? It's lunchtime, isn't it? People are like, I just want to go eat. That man's got donuts. My donuts now, Dave. Cool. Thank you so much for coming. Don't find Louise Honey. There was another question.
My mic's go on.
There you go.
Yeah, so can we thank Sam then? And Sam's completely right, here's lunchtime. I did get you beer, by the way. It doesn't look like beer because they let me smuggle it in. It looks like water, but it's actually rum.
I've got cake, I've got beer. This
There
is
we go.
brilliant. What else do I need?
Yeah, we're going to break for lunch now, and we're back here 1300 sharp with kicking off the afternoon with Philip Ingram, talking about lots of really interesting things. Just quickly, if you've used headphones, could you just pop them over on one of the barrels so we know they're used and we can sterilise them again for the next people coming in. And we welcome you all back to the beer garden at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Go get beer.
Cool. Thank you.